There was once a wise guru and his eager disciple, Mahesh, who was always filled with questions. Mahesh wanted to know everything about life, the world, and how to become a better person. He was passionate but also impulsive. Whenever someone disagreed with him, he would argue, trying to prove his point, and this often made him frustrated. Mahesh was a young and eager disciple, full of energy and passion. He was always ready to share his thoughts, argue his point, and defend his beliefs. But there was a problem. Every time someone disagreed with him, Mahesh couldn't stop himself from speaking louder, trying to make them understand. He thought that by talking more, he would win them over. But instead, he felt frustrated, drained, and unheard. One day, after a heated discussion with another villager, Mahesh sat by the river, looking troubled. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He needed guidance, and so, he went to his guru. Mahesh went to his guru and asked, "Guruji, I try to explain myself, but people don't listen. Every time I speak, it feels like I'm only making things worse. What should I do?" The guru, calm and serene, looked at Mahesh with a gentle smile. After a moment of silence, he spoke softly, "Mahesh, sometimes the greatest strength lies not in speaking, but in remaining silent. Silence isn't weakness, it's a form of wisdom. It allows you to listen, to understand, and to respond with clarity." Mahesh, confused but intrigued, asked, "How can silence help in a world full of noise?" The guru, always patient, replied, "Let me tell you a story. A long time ago, there was a mighty king named Rajendra. He ruled over a vast kingdom, but despite his power, there was constant noise in his court. His advisors, ministers, and officials would argue and shout over each other, trying to get his attention. The kingdom was filled with chaos, and King Rajendra felt helpless. He couldn't make sense of the constant bickering around him. One day, feeling overwhelmed, King Rajendra decided to leave his palace and visit a wise hermit living in the mountains. He hoped that the hermit could give him advice on how to rule his kingdom more effectively. After reaching the hermit's humble hut, the king said, "Wise hermit, I'm troubled. My ministers argue constantly, and no one listens to each other. I can't make good decisions in this chaos. What should I do?" The hermit smiled gently and replied, "The answer is simple. You must learn the power of silence. When you remain silent, you will find clarity. Silence will allow you to listen better, think more clearly, and guide your kingdom with wisdom." The king was skeptical at first, but he decided to follow the hermit's advice. He returned to his palace and chose to remain silent for a while, only speaking when absolutely necessary. At first, his ministers and advisors were confused. They were used to the king always giving orders and making decisions with his words. But as days passed, something remarkable happened. Without the king's constant interference, the ministers began to think for themselves. They listened to each other's opinions, and discussions became more thoughtful and respectful. Slowly, the noise in the palace died down, and the kingdom became a place of peace and cooperation. King Rajendra's silence brought clarity, not just to him, but to everyone around him. His silence taught others to listen more, to think before speaking, and to find solutions together. The kingdom flourished, and the people grew to respect their king even more. After finishing the story, the guru turned to Mahesh and said, "Do you see now? Silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of wisdom. When you choose to be silent, you give yourself the space to understand and respond with clarity." Mahesh sat quietly, reflecting on what his guru had shared. He realized that he had always been so eager to speak, to defend his point of view, but in doing so, he often missed the chance to truly listen. "Guruji," Mahesh said, "I understand now. I don't need to argue all the time. Sometimes, silence can lead to a much deeper understanding, and it allows me to find better solutions." The guru smiled. "Exactly, Mahesh. Silence helps you listen to others, but it also helps you listen to yourself. It allows you to reflect and act wisely. Remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all." From that day forward, Mahesh began to practice the power of silence. He learned to pause before speaking, to listen with more attention, and to speak only when he had something meaningful to say. Slowly, his life began to change. His relationships improved, his mind became clearer, and he felt more at peace. In a world filled with noise, Mahesh discovered that silence wasn't just the absence of words, it was a tool of great power. And through that silence, he found his true strength. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Silence allows you to listen, reflect, and find wisdom beyond words. Remember, true strength often lies in the moments when you choose to remain silent.